Hello, how are you doing? My name is Stephen Edwards and welcome to this week's video blog. This week we're going to take a look at third-party liabilities as it relates to Medicaid eligibility. So TPLs are that policy from United Healthcare, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Cigna, that lies on top of a Medicaid eligibility, meaning you have to bill them primary and Medicaid secondary. So we have so many clients that call EEP and say, we send them their Medicaid list and it's like, well, this TPL just showed up. First thing, the TPLs that get shown on the ACA website are not always true. The MMAs also check for third-party liabilities, and actually the MMAs seem to be better than ACA at finding those third-party liabilities. Having said that, there's still a lot of incorrect information. Maybe the policy was terminated a year or two ago. You hear that from a lot of patients or parents. Or that child was not supposed to be put on that Cigna plan. Well, it used to be that for those that have been in the game for a long time, you could call Medicaid at this phone number, the 877-357-3268, and they would take it off for a provider. That is no longer the case. You cannot call that number as a provider or as a clinic and take something off of somebody else's eligibility for a patient. That patient parent or that patient will need to call that 1-800 number, and in some cases they even want the cancellation letter to show that it was actually canceled. So again, a little change over the last couple years that the patient or parent will need to take care of getting that third-party liability. If in fact it is an error, they would have to call and get it taken off. Let's talk about Medicare real quick. Medicare does show up on the ACA website, Part A and Part B. It is not listed as a third-party liability. It's just right on their eligibility. So if Medicare is present, and believe it or not, there are children that are eligible for Medicare if their parents are and there's a disability. So there's I have seen children under the age of 18 be eligible for Medicare. So that's something that you want to be aware of, because Medicare is primary to Medicaid. If you are not a Medicare provider, then you will not be able to treat that child and get paid. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that Medicare is a third-party liability, but it's not listed under that third-party liability area on the eligibility. So when the reprocurement first started, it used to be the third-party liability children used to always be under straight Medicaid. And over the last several years, that has changed. Now, many of the third-party liability recipients are on the MMAs, which created a big change. If you remember, right, again, if you've been in the game a long time, you remember getting a blanket denial. You get a blanket denial, diagnosis not covered from United Healthcare. Well, you could go onto the ACA website, bill straight Medicaid as a secondary, and use that blanket denial, that diagnosis code is not covered, for the whole year. That is not the case anymore. With the MMAs, you need a date-specific denial. So if you billed somebody on 5/1, date of service 5/1, you would have to bill Cigna first, and then you would have to bill, let's say, WellCare second. And you would need to do that for 5/1, 5/7, 5/14. So every date of service you would need a denial that states the denial reason, and then you would bill the MMA. So please understand, and I know that EEP does your billing and we take care of all this, but what I'm about to tell you is where you come in, and because now we're getting down to the money piece. So now you have a United Healthcare recipient that the TPL is showing on the eligibility, and we bill United Healthcare, and the MMA, let's say WellCare, is secondary. United Healthcare, your contracted rate's $50, they pay you $30. Well, everybody knows that the reimbursement is $17.86, might be a little bit less for WellCare. Let's say a T19. It's $17.86 per unit. United Healthcare pays you $30. You treat it for an hour. So your reimbursement will be $71.44. United Healthcare paid you $30. They have a $20 copay because your contracted rate is $50. So when the MMA receives that denial, or excuse me, that payment, and they see that patient responsibility is $20, they are going to pay the patient responsibility. They are not going to make you whole to the Medicaid contracted rate of $17.86 per unit. And I know I've put that out on literature before and everything, but it's always worth getting that back out, because I'll always get a reply saying, that's the first I've heard of that. Because as a business owner, as a clinic owner, you might be thinking, hey, I'm going to be made whole at the $71.44 for that hour, and that is incorrect. If you treat it for an hour and your contracted rate with United Healthcare is $50, you are going to be made whole at $50. So you need to make that, you need to make your providers aware. You need to be aware that you are not getting the Medicaid rate. So I hope this shines some light and answers some questions out there about third-party liabilities and how that process is. If you have any other questions, please contact your account manager or myself. We're here to help you. Have a great day, and thank you for being with EEP Community.